Welcome to our second Nexi talk at Money 2020 in Amsterdam. My name is Christian Trixler. I'm part of the press team of European Paytech Nexi Group, and alongside with my colleague Peter Glösing, one of the moderators of our talk format, Nexi Talks. The topic we'll be discussing in the next roughly 20 minutes is around Buy Now, Pay Later, a payment method that has, in the last 1.5 to 2 years, had an extremely a boost. We'll explore the question of whether this payment method can actually strengthen trust between the companies and the consumers. To discuss this, I have a guest with me, which is Charlotte Paauwe from the German BNPL provider Ratepay. They're a senior manager responsible for the partner business. Thank you very much for taking the time and having this interview with me. Let's get straight into our topic. BNPL isn't actually new at all. Why do you think has there been such a strong boom in the payment method in recent years?
So first of all, thank you for having me. And very good question. So we at Ratepay have been in this business for over almost 12 years. And Buy Now, Pay Later has been the preferred payment method, especially in Germany and in the DACH region. So for us, it's not new. But in the last 2 years, because of the corona crisis, there has been an increase in e-commerce, and BNPL is very strongly connected to e-commerce. And we have seen an uptick, a huge growth globally with BNPL, which really benefited the industry and really BNPL really became a preferred payment method globally, I would say.
What is it that makes BNPL special compared to other payment methods?
Yes, Buy Now, Pay Later, it says it already. It's you buy goods, you buy clothes, for example, different sizes, different colors, and you can decide later on what you want to keep and what you want to pay for. So it's a very easy access for credit. You don't have to pay in advance. You don't need to pay at the moment. You can pay later on. And that makes it very attractive, especially for the new generation.
And how does BNPL create trust between the business and the consumer?
Yeah, we see that there are 3 factors that influence this. The first factor is that the customer doesn't need to provide that much data. They only need to provide a few data points like email address, date of birth, their name. Compared to credit cards, for example, you need to give your financial information and a lot of information about yourself, and customers, this is a very easy, accessible way for a lot of customers. Another point is that, like I said before, you're in control of when to pay for it. And if you want to first see the goods first before paying, that's a very favorable thing for customers. So that also increases trust with this merchant. And then finally, I would say that the risk engine, the risk scoring engine that Buy Now, Pay Later providers have, analyzing the customer and seeing if the customer is credit worthiness and isn't a fraudulent person and using someone else's identity, for example, identity theft. This risk scoring engine is such a good way of detecting fraudsters and identity theft. The customer is sure that his data will be used the correct way. So that also increases the trust between the merchant and the customer.
And what is it then specifically that Ratepay does to increase the trust between the merchant and the consumer?
Yeah, so we have been in this industry for over 12 years. We have optimizing and continuing improving our risk scoring engine. So we are able to spot any person that is not able to pay for it. We can spot any person that is a fraudster. And we're continuously focusing on that. And I think that's really our key proposition, is that we have a very good credit risk scoring in place, which increases the trust between the merchant and the customer. But also, we are white label, so you don't see Ratepay, our brand, in the checkout. It's only the logo of the merchant. And especially what we have experienced in our region, the DACH, is that people really have a trusted relationship with the merchant itself, and they only see that brand. So that also increases and makes the customer comfortable in using this buy now, pay later payment method.
And with BNPL being one of the fastest growing alternative payment methods, what does this mean for traditional financial institutions?
Yeah, of course, we've seen that the traditional players need to step up their game because there has been a rise of fintechs all covering this industry, growing rapidly, stepping in all these areas. But we have seen traditional players setting up their own PSP or buy now, pay later payment providers, partnering with us, for example. We have partnered with several banks who want to offer our buy now, pay later white label payment methods to their customers. But yes, they need to, of course, we have the PayPals in the world who are offering, we have partnered up with PayPal who are also offering buy now, pay later with us in the background. And you see that traditional banks and players are also really trying to dive into this space. And finally, they are also getting a piece of the pie, I would say, because we partner with them as our refinancing partner. We need to pay out our merchants, and we work with banks to get the payout in order and our cash flows in order. So we work closely with traditional players in this sense.
It is often discussed that consumers are getting into high debt because of BNPL options. What do you respond to that?
So we have seen that consumers, it's in our own interest that we analyze the consumer. We don't want to take on bad debt. So we want to protect the consumer, and to protect the consumer is the most important part of our risk scoring engine, like I said before. And it's in our own interest. So for us, we want to take out all the people who are incapable of paying for it. And I think we're doing a great job. And we're not taking on the youngsters who want to buy an iPhone and they can't pay for it. And we're using all these data points and this super good tool to detect this. So I think we're in a good position.
In 2022, regulators in the EU and the UK are looking to further understand and balance the need for growth and innovation with protection for consumers who love the new payment methods. How and when is this likely to affect the development of BNPL demand?
So we have been in this industry for a long time, and we already have, in Germany, we have a license for our open invoice payment method. We do know that globally other regulators are also looking into this business, how to regulate it, how to put more rules and regulations in place, which is important to protect the consumers, like we've seen before. We see it as a benefit to the industry, and we think that we are in the right position because of the BaFin license we already have in place. And if in any future there will be more legislation, I think we have the good connection, the good tools in place to be ready for it. But at this point, we don't see overnight new regulations to put in place, and I think we're in a good position.
And looking forward, how do you think will BNPL develop in the future?
Yeah, so we have seen, of course, the financial uncertainty globally affects every industry, including e-commerce and BNPL. However, rise of interest rates will, of course, affect us and potentially the merchants. Someone needs to pay for it. But we still see that the overall growth rate, expected growth rate of buy now, pay later is 26%. And we see that a lot of customers only want to finish the checkout if 30% of the customer only want to finish the checkout if there's a BNPL payment method in the checkout. So all these data points show BNPL is still a very preferred payment method and has a very bright future.
Well, thank you very much, Charlotte Paauwe.
Thank you so much
for this talk. I think it has become very clear that BNPL is very important for businesses, that there is actually no way around it any longer. Important for the strategy of the merchants. Our next Nexi talk will be at 3 p.m. with the topic Nexi Open, making open banking real. Then again with my colleague Peter Glüsing as the moderator and his guests. Stay tuned and see you around.